will shatter all. So raise your fist and pledge your name. We'll shout our truths in freedom's name. We're shipping up to Elgin with our battle cry. No topics off limits, no dream too high. Lock on, speak loud, let every voice amplify. Buttertown unites, together we'll defy. Elgin, Elgin, Elgin,
All right. You remember when we used to come up with like really great intro ideas?
No. Did that ever happen?
Dude, we used to do like really good ones. We used to. No. Okay, I'm totally
No,
lying.
we riffed.
I'm thinking of Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones had really good intros.
Yeah, it was all the same, except that sometimes it wasn't.
Sometimes a little different. We just put in more energy than I think any other episode we've ever done in this room. Like that little intro right there was more energy than anything because we always start like, yeah, you know, life's a piece of shit and I hate everything. Hey, do you know I started recording? Cool, let's keep talking about this.
We're gonna talk like Clint Eastwood for some reason.
Is that the Clint Eastwood voice or is that the Batman voice? Like who had it first?
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood. Like chronologically, I would say Clint Eastwood had it first, but I think who had it first in like pop culture?
Or you'd even say like, what's his name? The Duke.
The Duke?
Oh shit, yeah, because he said you gotta talk low, talk slow.
What's that from?
That's shit, dude. Come on, John Wayne.
No, I mean I know who John Wayne is, but like, what is that from a movie?
No, well that was his recommendation to all men: talk low and talk slow.
Talk low and talk slow.
Yeah.
So maybe we should talk about.
Yeah.
I just lost all credibility for the
Pretty
rest of the
much.
episode. By the way.
Yeah, you got to be. He's essentially. It's just like a hillbilly stoic.
Hillbilly stoic.
Yeah.
Wow. That
I
like
mean, he wouldn't be hillbilly. I mean, he'd be more like a Western stoic.
I mean, but like that's a really beautiful analogy. Like the past like 2 weeks, I think I've been really fascinated with genre bending.
Yeah.
Like taking like two things that shouldn't belong together and kind of smashing them together. And like I played a little bit of that song last time on the episode where it's like, it's like pop versus death metal. And I don't know, I've been like really kind of thinking like what are things that shouldn't be, not just in music, but in like all aspects of life.
Stoic with lots of like somebody who's bubbly, who should be bubbly would be like a fun stoic.
Stoic bubbly.
Because stoic is like, those are the Lycanians. Those were the your Spartan warriors. They didn't say much, but when they did, it was incredibly powerful.
The Arcanians?
The Spartans. I think it's the Lacadians.
Lacadians.
I think it's Lacadians.
I don't think I've ever heard that term before.
Lyconians. I don't remember now. But anyway, yeah, they wouldn't say much, but when they did, it was fucking awesome. Like the whole when we fight against you, our arrows will block out the sun. Well, then we'll fight in the shade. It's the most baller thing to say with the least amount of words.
Yeah.
Fucking stoic. So if you get somebody who's like super like Powder Puff Girls, stoic Powder Puff Girls.
Okay.
That would be kind of a fun thing to do. Speaking of stoics.
Stoics. I mean, I think we definitely have a name for the episode, but now we just need to come up with the other part of the genre bend.
Well, what are some genre bends that you came up with?
Well, see, I'm not really like focusing on too much of like keeping it in mind. I'm just, which is kind of stupid. I've been having much more of like a Buddhist mentality recently, or like Taoism, where I'm just like, whatever is, and I'm just enjoying things in the moment instead of like personifying them, which is really nice because of everything else that's going on in the world is logging down my brain.
And you're just trying to like be in control of what you can be in control of?
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to be in control of what I can be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I'm also like just letting things be. Does that make sense? Like just things are, and I'm enjoying that.
Well, you have to. We're in our 40s. Fucking, we're already over the hump, dude.
Are we?
We're halfway there.
Oh, that's true.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
That's weird to me. And I'm sure like every person ever has ever thought that is, they've always thought that, right? That's not like a new concept.
And halfway would be generous, by the way.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, we were halfway 10 years ago.
Wow, that puts things into perspective. 34 and a half. Oh, hold on. My mom was 67 when she died.
Half the typical age is, I think it's like 71.
71?
I think that sounds right. Or maybe, is it 71?
My dad's going to be 79 this year.
My dad's been trucking, dude.
Dude,
He's like, he's active, though.
He's so, dude, when
golfs,
he
he's
came over
shooting
recently,
everything, he's
he's
doing
like,
stuff.
he lost so much weight.
Yeah.
Like, he's golfing like crazy.
Yeah, he moves around a bunch.
Well,
And,
he's
like,
coaching and doing everything else. Yeah,
My
yeah,
dad,
yeah.
he stopped moving around. He retired and he just fucking parked in front of a television and just stayed there until they carted him off.
Yeah.
My mom does the same thing. She like never moves. She got a surgery and her knee got fucked up, but like she never moved before. Now like it's this excuse to not move now, which sucks, man. Use it or lose it. You're like, dude, fucking move around, walk.
Dude, I can't sit still. I didn't mean to make this about me, but like,
that's fine.
like, how do you feel about that? Like I cannot this is as long as I sit still, period.
Oh no, I can sit still.
Can you?
Yeah, I'll plow through a thing. I do it now when I can. Heather can't sit still, and I can't. Like I could sit and watch a show. I could watch from like Friday to Sunday.
Now watching, or because like I still need to get up and make food while I'm watching, or I need to get up and check email
You just
while I'm
order it and they
watching.
bring it directly to you. Eventually, you're gonna get a lunch gun and put that gun in your mouth and pull the trigger.
Have you heard of the Sony technology? This got released a few years ago. Like the trademark for it got released.
Was this a lunch gun?
Yeah, I mean, kinda.
I want bologna to just fucking hit the back of my throat. Oh man, that didn't come out right.
Happy Pride Month, guys.
Yeah.
So Sony invented, well, I mean, I don't know if they invented, but they invented this specific technology. It's a sensory pushing scent out of TVs. So like a commercial for McDonald's comes on and it's going to push out certain chemical combinations to make it smell like hamburgers.
I think that's dumb.
Well,
So
so
smell-o-vision was done like 75 years ago.
it
And
was,
it was dumb then.
Well, I
It's
mean, do you
dumb
know
now.
why that was done back then? Because TV scared the shit out of the film industry. So film tried all their little stupid tricks. That's why 3D came out, to try and get people back into the theater. Or like Shockorama.
What are they trying now? Now nobody's going to the theaters.
They're what they're trying to do
Now
is
popcorn costs fucking as much as 20 tickets.
no shit. Well, dude,
awful.
popcorn is like what, $15 now or something? I haven't gone to
it's
the movie in a
crazy.
while, but all I'm seeing in the movie theaters now are either these giant movies, like the big fucking blockbusters, or movies that are already available digitally. And it's like, well, hold on. Why, I don't want to see the blockbusters. I'm not interested. But these other movies, I can sit at home and I'd be way more happy. Then I don't have to be around other people. And I don't have to eat your overpriced shit.
Like the experience is fun though. Like I like going to movies with my wife. It's fun.
Dude, I agree. I do. But the
And it's
problem is
fun.
the films aren't there anymore.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's just Heather and my taste in films are very different. Very different. Yeah. Like if you and I got married, we'd be watching the exact same thing all the time.
Mostly,
There would be very few fights over what was going
At least we would give the chance to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like with Heather, like she picks things that I would never ever pick.
Like, give me an example.
Like we just saw the biopic. I think I told you about this before. We saw the movie where Pamela Anderson starred in it, where she's a showgirl. Like there's no way I would ever fucking pick that in my
Okay.
life. But it was just interesting to just watch movies that I would never have seen before.
I agree.
So
Every
I mean,
once in a while, you find a gem.
yeah, every once in a while you find a gem, or like at the very least, like to find like a performance that was like good.
Right.
Like I was impressed with what Pam Anderson did you know, based off of the expectations that I thought that she would have. I thought she was like incredibly well casted. And I think there's something fun about that, you know, where like, yeah, if I'm going to watch like a Marvel movie, I know exactly what I'm getting. Like, I didn't know what I was going to be getting into that. And I wouldn't have been put in that position unless my wife picked, and we would have never gone, had it like been going out to go on a date to go to a movie theater. And they're usually pretty empty. I mean, it's weird. It's something that I hope doesn't die, but I can see dying.
I absolutely see it dying, but I don't want it to either. I honestly don't. That's
The experience,
my
like
mecca.
especially the sound, like all the things that I think that you as the behind the camera guy, like all that work, I think is lost at home, and it's like front and center in the theater, and everything is switched now, and like you're making a movie for these small, for either your phone or your.
That's
or
the
just your
big
screen.
next thing, by the way.
Oh,
So many people are
Jesus.
pushing content for phone.
Fucking gross, dude. No
Now-
way.
now-
I'll never do it. I'll never do that.
I won't either. I can't. I don't even do vertical video, man. Like vertical video sends shivers down my spine. I don't care if it's entertaining or not. I can't do it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
How?
Guaranteed. You. There's times when you like vertical video.
Hit me.
When you're pooping and you're holding your phone.
Can't do it.
Dude, when you're
I
pooping and
still
holding your
have
phone.
to twist it.
No, it looks off. It's like it's
No.
hard to poop and hold the phone in your hand.
I've gotten really good at the pinky trick.
Oh no way.
The pinky just holds it.
I just vertical videos poop vision.
Okay, so if you
I want you all to know if there's send me vertical videos so I can watch while I'm pooping. Guaranteed. It just sits in your hand better.
I either play a game when I'm taking a shit or reading news or catching up on emails.
I never play games anymore.
Do you not?
It's so crazy. I think of like all of the wasted like ex-girlfriends that I played video games instead of hanging out with them.
I get it.
It's like
Get it.
man, like all that wasted time.
Well, like-
because like now I don't even give a shit.
I mean, that's all Andy does.
It's just
She's on her
video
phone
games?
24/7.
Get it?
She's either working or playing a game. But like I'm playing Torn right now. It started in 2001 and it's still going. There are people who have been on the game that long. It's like a mafia game. Like you just do crimes and battle each other and
Doing
sell
crime.
drugs and shit like that. And it seems silly until you start to play it and it just exponentially becomes larger and larger and larger than you think it can be. It's pretty impressive.
14 years later.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
That is crazy that there's been a game that's been supported. for
24
14
years.
Oh my god. Oh, that's
And
right. 10 years past the middle.
What they tell you in the beginning too is like, do not rush this. You can't rush this game. It is a long haul game. It is a slow burn. It'll take years to get anywhere.
You know what would be fun that I look up every once in a while when I'm like on YouTube?
I'm
I just
listening.
do research on Zork.
Dude, Zork was fucking I actually made
I
a
would love Zork.
text game not that long ago. What? For myself?
Do you know how to do it?
Well, I mean, kinda.
Dude,
I made it in Chat GPT.
I want to make a text game. And you can sell it. You can show it to somebody and have like a little button that you can put on their phone. And you can make a
That's
text-based game.
different, but yeah, you should be able to because then you're just really you need the icon to enact an API address, and then you make your API address from your Chat GPT non-private, and it should be able to grab that and pull it over and play the game. Yeah,
I would love to just create an entire universe that's a Zork game.
dude, new shit like new text games. There's no fucking there's no boundaries. Like in Zork, it was like you're in a room, right? Like here are the 5 possible things you can do that they're waiting for you to trigger.
But at the time, it seemed
Yeah,
so
right.
impressive.
But now it's like, well, you can tell it to do whatever you want. Whatever you want. You can change the game. And that's what's really interesting to me. Because the only way you're held by rules is if you want to be. I did one where I was just fucking around and I was making rules and blah, blah, blah. And then I hit play. And 2 succubuses attack you. And like that's where the game starts, right? And you have to either talk your way out of it or die. And I talked my way out of it, and then I ended up like convincing them that I was their savior. And like I was actually tracking down my long lost sister, and like these were the other 2 in the cage when my sister was stolen. and like we're looking for the third one now. So like the whole tactics based game became a thing because I just changed the parameters a little bit, and it just became its own whole fucking thing. I originally designed the two succubuses to be enemies to you the whole time, and then they became like my allies.
That's crazy.
That reminds me of that story of the D&D dad who was playing D&D with his daughters, and like there was a big wolf that attacked the city, and instead of fighting, they just made friends with it and like ended up becoming best friends with the wolf, and
that was their companion?
And that was their companion. Like they just went on adventures together. And like, that's cool. Think outside the box. Think beyond what you're told how to play a game.
I think it's cool. Like I'm always like jealous of like Nick when he says that he has like these D&D
The
things.
D&D nights?
Like,
Oh my God.
Like he
I
has like
know.
a group of guys. They essentially has his own Los Dudes, but it's just gaming.
Yeah.
And I can actually meet
I
him.
am jealous too, but then I think about like the parameters that sets. It's like every Thursday you have to go do this. I'm like, fuck. That's so much stress at my age.
Yeah, it is hard to make every single
I don't like checking the
Thursday.
mail every day. That shit's far.
Oh, jeez. But that's the outside of the house. You should put the mail on the inside.
But then
of
like
the
I've
house.
tried the online D&D and I don't like it. Like it just doesn't feel right. I like bullshitting in the middle of the game.
With friends?
Yeah. Like that's
Or frenemies?
yeah. I don't like playing campaign games with a dick though.
Have you ever played... Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. You ever played with somebody who's like a fucking total asshole?
Knock on wood, I've been pretty blessed about not having the dicks. I have played campaigns where people are like min-maxers and they don't care about story or characters. They just care about winning. And to me, that's insanely boring.
I remember there was a game that we played, and there was somebody there who like wasn't playing the game right. Like I'm like, you're supposed to be in a character. Like you don't know that these other things are over here. You're looking at a board, but your character
I
doesn't
remember
know
this.
that
I
person's
remember this.
there.
Yeah.
And it just made it not fun. It takes you out of the whole
Yeah.
thing. Like, well, I know that person's there, so I'm gonna do this. But you don't know that. It's like acting. But that person didn't give a fuck.
Right. I mean, there's a time and place for that. And then you brought up, I think either during that game or after that game, that you wanted to have like like everyone had the ability to see the game and understand that it was a game, but you were in the game and it was like very meta.
How do you get out of the game?
So to me, the
Well,
best
I
part
wanted to
about-
create a character that knew that they were a character in a
Yes.
game.
That's
That's what it was. And I still think that would be awesome.
I do too. That's eventually essentially like an isekai, and you can definitely do that. But like the thing that's going to really draw the fun from that are the drawbacks. So you need to like implement a lot of drawbacks to that because that's an OP skill. Knowing that you're in a game means that there's game mechanics, and you can break those mechanics if you know how to.
Well, also, like, does the character know that they can come back? Is the character certain that they can come back?
Don't know. I
Like,
mean,
yeah,
that
like they
have
would
to be a
never know.
test.
Like they know they're a character.
Yeah.
They don't know if they've been a character before because they know that there's other characters. So they know there's been other characters before them, but they don't know if that he was that character.
Okay, so you want to make sure like you don't have the pre-knowledge going into it. You're just awakening with no prior knowledge except you know that this reality is not real.
You know it's not real. You know there's somebody in control of you. And you know, oh, okay, so does that person have the knowledge of the other people who are playing?
See, but yeah, now you're introducing the idea of pre-known knowledge. And you can do that, but now you're opening up a can of worms. So how would you corral that? Like you could maybe do it once a day for like 3 seconds. Once a day, you can cast a spell that like allows you to tap into the brain of the player at that time.
yeah.
And so you just glimpse these weird fucking thoughts that are
Oh,
completely
and then
random,
and then they become canon in the game.
and then become canon in the game.
yeah,
right.
like some guy's like, he's like, oh my god, he's like, oh my god, I'm thinking, okay, I know that somebody's taking a shit. He's like, how is that supposed
The
to help
gods
me?
are taking a shit.
One of the fucking guys is taking a shit. Oh yeah, it'd be better if he doesn't know that.
It's players.
He doesn't know that they're players.
They're deities.
Yeah, they're just deities.
Yeah.
We'd be this god. Oh, it's so fucking weird and dark. There's something, I think I told you about this before, object-oriented ontology. It's OOO. And it's like it's a
Object
way,
orientation ontology.
object-oriented ontology.
Oriented ontology.
And the idea with that is that, like, currently in the world, everything is like a very human centrist based way of seeing the world. Like, I'm a human and I should be able to get whatever I want. And somebody who's the way that you look at the world is like, well, that's my pet. You know, like some people just see them as your pets or your property, or like, this is my table. This is like, it's all this ownership and you're the center of the world. But with the object oriented ontology, every single object is the center of its own thing. And objects, whether they're like real or not, can have their own wants and needs, you know, and you still kind of have like it's still being filtered through somebody else who's kind of like guessing what that thing would want.
Right.
But still, like, you know, things have if there's a natural order to things. In the way that it's being used in law is like a river can sue you. And it's been used in other places to get like
interesting.
So if a river can sue,
so a river wants to be clean.
A river wants to be clean.
Oh, okay.
And it's worked in some courts of law across America or across the world. I don't think it's worked
maybe
in
the
America
Constitution wants to be followed.
Constitution wants to be followed. Yeah. You want to start talking about that?
Whenever.
So, what is it? 141 days in now? 140
yeah,
days
141 as of today.
141 days in, and
I'm bringing up my notes.
And the United States Marine Corps has been called into Los Angeles against American citizens.
Yep.
Fuck, like that was way faster than I thought it would be.
Well, I called either June 14th or July 4th.
Juneteenth is coming up soon.
Juneteenth, was that June 19th? Yeah. That's going to be completely just not even talked about. So, okay, on this note, while we're here, I was thinking about it today. What's a good word for this? It's not protecting Los Angeles, because they're not. They're actively hurting innocent people who
they
are
are
not
provoking them into doing. They are provoking them into reacting in such a way that the president can declare martial law.
Yeah,
it's what the thought is.
Definitely. So these attacks happened on the protesters at the perfect time, because Elon just talked about old yam tits being in the Epstein files.
Yep.
And everyone knew that, but like, what's the bread and circus rule, right? You do bread and circus in your left hand to hide what's in the right hand.
Or you're saying that he's doing all this to hide the fact that he's in the Epstein file?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
I don't think that. I don't necessarily think he's doing that intentionally.
Maybe.
I'm reading a book. It's about Machiavelli.
We need to change the podcast name, by the way. Just
really,
I'm reading
really
a
quick.
book.
One of the things that was, and I can bring this up, and it's changed the way that I see a lot of things. The book is about, and I'm not like changing subjects. I'm trying to just correlate this real quick. It's a great courses on the Machiavelli, the Prince, and Machiavelli's dissertation on Livy's 10 first books on history. Wow, it's really fucking good. Like way better than I thought it would be. Machiavelli is very interesting to read. Livy is very interesting to read. But one of the things that Machiavelli said, and I think Livy in a little bit, was that like fortune, he compares it to a river. And it's a river that that will like swell and it'll drain, but it's a constantly flowing thing, fortune. And there's things you can do to channel that fortune. You can build dams, you could build rivers, you could build vessels, but you're making your own fortune. And the way that I'm bringing this up is I don't think that he's done this in such a way that this is just the river flowing through. He's making his own fortune by harnessing this thing to use it as a way to block them from listening to Epstein, or for people to pay attention to the Epstein stuff.
Yeah.
But the idea of the river and just making your own fortune, absolutely fascinating. When you think of your fortune as a river, there's the life, everything is there's just a constant flow. And some people can gather it more than others. Like if you have the resources to build your dams,
If
and
you have
vessels
river, you
and
can make more
levees, and
river.
when if you have river, you can make more river. But it's just a real interesting way to look at it. And like politically, when you see, they're not like, I don't think it's like wagging the dog is what you were saying.
Yeah.
I don't think wagging the dog happens as often as people would think. I think they're more often than not just making their own fortune.
I mean, definitely not enough to justify the full tilt course of what it can be. But I still think that they're trying to dissuade people from thinking and trying to dissuade people from looking too close, whatever it may be.
I mean, there's a lot of information out there already. I posted something on Facebook a little while ago of the court case with that 13-year-old girl. The girl who's like, we'll just call her Mrs. Johnson or whatever.
Yeah.
Where she said that Donald Trump raped her when she was 13.
Yep.
And she tried to go to court more than once. On those occasions, she wasn't able to go to court due to paperwork error. Funny how that works.
Yeah.
And then the third time, she said she was getting death threats and she didn't feel comfortable going with the suit anymore. And this was all leading up into 2016.
It'd be interesting.
And she disappeared. Nobody knows where she is anymore.
Get the fuck out. That part I didn't know.
She's gone.
Oh, shit.
I have no idea where she is because it was all anonymous.
Because she's trying to be
She either got paid off or she got
disappeared.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I got to remember who was in charge when Epstein disappeared.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to, it's funny when you have people on the right who want to say Jeffrey Epstein was killed himself. It's like, dude, who was the most powerful person in the world at that time? Who could have pulled it off? Bill Gates. Yeah, sure. Bill
Now,
Gates.
who, and
or
also,
fucking Donald Trump.
yeah, no shit, Bill. Fuck, all these people who are against Bill Gates. It's like, why?
They're the same people who are against Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
It's so crazy to me. It's ridiculous.
But also, we haven't really heard about Epstein information-wise, like politically information-wise, like true data, until Trump is back in office again. And then he's back in office. Careful, that's tilting, I think. I don't know. I can't. Yeah, it is. Just so careful. And then he's back in office, and then they said, oh, yeah, well, Epstein definitely killed himself. It's like, well,
Who
why,
said that?
why should we believe you? Like the fucking DOJ said that like 2 weeks ago.
Definitely, he didn't kill himself.
No shit. So this is I found this audio clip, and everyone knows this audio clip, but I find it very fascinating to hear this, especially in light of this. So.
The 9/11 files.
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah,
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there.
That's all it is.
100%.
He's fucking lying out his goddamn
Donald
teeth.
Trump definitely raped a 13-year-old girl.
No shit. Like
Definitely allegedly raped the 13-year-old girl.
definitely, allegedly, without a doubt, raped
Allegedly.
a 13-year-old girl.
A 13-year-old girl, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny how, the same people who will complain about child trafficking definitely don't care.
This is what gets me. I don't understand why you're okay with one thing but not with another.
Well, one is would be, they'll say, but Hunter Biden.
But that's always the fight with them.
And I don't understand it.
It's like, well, dude, that shit's done. Focus on the shit that is.
Not only was it done, it was proved that it was
It
wrong.
was proved that it was fucking false. Nah.
Yeah, I don't get it. Heather usually gets upset with me because she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm picking a fight with strangers on the computer." And she gets irritated with me.
Why?
I'll see
You're so
something,
good at
and
it.
somebody will be like, she has a friend he's an older gentleman. He's probably in his 60s, and he posts stuff all the time, probably as often as my ma. And he has a friend who's just a complete asshole to him. And I've even called him out. I was like, do you have any credibility on this, or are you just a bully that likes to pick on my friend? And he's like, well, we've been friends for a really long time. And it's like, yeah, obviously. I can tell that you guys are friends. That's why you're, picking on him, putting him down on everything all the time. But I could literally, he would give his opinion on something. And then I would literally give him the actual, information from the government. I'll give him the summary of the file. I'll tell him the exact page it is on. I'll provide him the file, and then I'll even quote it for him so he knows. Like I'm doing all the legwork, and he just ignores it. And I just told him, like, dude, I don't know what's going on or how you created this reality, but I hope you have people in your life that care about you, because I don't get it.
Yes. I'm coming to the realization I've been very inflammatory. I've been very angry. I've been very dismissive. And you're right. One of the greatest things that could happen is people to realize their error and start to help and start to better the world around them, not just for themselves. And I hope these people who are believing these lies, these rampant fucking lies, and just being led down this path of ignorance, and just they're being used, plain and simple. I hope there's good in their lives, that they are not alone and terrified and scared out of their mind, so like they're grasping for this one thing to break them out of this well. I hope they have a light in their life.
Or if they're pushing people away in their life.
Yeah.
And I do. I mean, you see a lot of that all the time. People who are just saying like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to have anything to do with those people. And like, I don't know. It can't be the right way.
I don't think it is, but I also think that's a defensive mechanism. And I think it's a defense that is needed, because when I started shutting people out, I started feeling better about myself. Not just like my well-being, like, oh, I feel good. I mean, like physically myself. Like I'm not around that negativity, soaking that fucking negativity and lies up, when I'm very much aware of the truth. And I feel like a better person, not better than someone else, but I just feel like, well, I don't have that anger in me. Dude, I had fucking shit fall all over me today, and I've been really explosive in my life. On my way to class, my final class of the year, and I have my drink explode in my car. And my very first reaction is, well, shit.
Well, you should.
I know, and that's wonderful, but like, you can't tell someone to feel that way.
Well, you're like we were talking about on the last podcast, your brain just sits in a soup of serotonin, and it operates on whether it's going to do something or not based off of whether it's going to get a shot of that serotonin.
Yeah.
And like, you're going to get a shot of serotonin because your expectations have not been defied, because you don't talk to that person anymore. But like, that's not helpful though either. You know what I mean? Like, I think the best thing to do is to be comfortable being uncomfortable having conversations.
But you need to get to that point. You can't tell someone to just feel that way automatically.
True.
Like, because then you can spiral so fucking easy from that.
But it can start with just having the conversation.
No, agreed, and I agree with you.
Just if you just
I'm
say,
not there yet.
I disagree.
But I will get there. I understand, like, that's the light at the end of the tunnel. And God, dude, you and I know each other fucking well enough to know that I love debating. Not arguing. I like debating. Debating might be heated. But I like the discourse. I like going back and forth. I like you telling me your opinion, and I'll tell you my opinion, and then let's fucking hash it out. I'm not telling you, well, fuck you, you're wrong. I might do it jokingly, but
it is weird when the odds are as high. Like, we're not talking about a character on Star Wars. We are talking about people's lives.
We're talking about the lives of innocent fucking people.
Yeah.
On a massive scale.
That is hard to choke down. That people don't care as much as you think that they should.
Okay, that's a beautiful way of saying it. I think adding the "you think" is really a delicate way of addressing that topic, because it's not how they should feel, it's how we think they should feel based on our own lenses and our own perspective.
I was recently writing to somebody on the book face. Like, when I write on the book face, a lot of it's just me venting, and I get to do it at somebody else.
You're very good at it, though.
But I like to do it. It's helpful
haunting,
for me,
man.
But like, it was, it's the idea that there was a social contract. There was an expectation of a social contract. We all watched the same movies, like, especially like people who are older. Like we all did watch the same movies. We all knew the things about Russia. We all knew the things about Nazi Germany. We knew the things about authoritarianism. We knew what was bad. We could see it.
Yeah.
Like we expected that we would know it when we saw it.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people saw it and they're like, that's it right there. Never thought I'd see it in my lifetime, but there it is. And then they looked around and just hoped that like somebody was on their side of the line, but they were on the side you were pointing at.
Interesting.
And it was like, and it's as fascinating as it is scary.
Academically, yes, it is fascinating beyond belief, and I'm hoping, I'm optimistic that this shit goes away and we come back to normality, or at least I don't want normality. I want better.
What do you think better would be?
I want a renaissance of human integrity.
What do you think can do that?
Starting over?
You know what that's gonna. You know what requires that, right?
I do know what that requires.
That's going to be a lot of blood.
In order to have a field of flowers, you need Ganesha. You need to tear the world apart before you can rebuild it. You need fire to propagate a forest.
I mean, we're not there yet. You know, we're like really getting towards that edge.
We're seeing the tinderbox, though.
It is a tinderbox. I was thinking about that the other day. I was listening to something, you know, where they were talking about how like Franz Ferdinand didn't like create World War I. Like there was
They created pop music in the 2000s.
right? Yeah, it was so good.
Sorry.
Well, didn't you do Flagpole Sitta?
No, that was someone else. I thought that shit would hit me by the time I got to the word.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but there was
Harvey
a
Danger.
tinderbox. Harvey Danger. There was a tinderbox that was created in the world. It was just like that one thing that would ignite it. And I was thinking about like what would ignite that. And I mean, it would be, I think, another assassination attempt.
So like Archduke.
Like if,
Oh yeah, sorry.
I think like
I always heard the word
another
before.
attempt on anybody in the administration would do it.
It would have to be someone big, though. It would have to be someone in the public eye and loved, regardless of if they're loved for the right or wrong reason. But
I
it
think
would need to be someone big.
It would be somebody up
Pam
there.
Bondi's not going to be fucking missed.
It would, no, but it would still be something that could spark. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, we're like right now, like how we started this conversation. Trump's done this thing where he's putting all the people in LA in this really shitty circumstance where they're going to go up against the United States Marine Corps and they're going to be armed or possibly armed. Like we don't know if they're going in armed. Like rubber bullets.
But okay.
Suck.
So
But they're not bullets.
tell me something about rubber bullets that I don't know. Are rubber bullets used in the same weaponry as normal arms, or is it a completely different weapon system?
I've only worked with lethal munitions. I've never worked with non-lethal.
I've never worked with non-lethal either. Everything I've ever been trained on has been ammo.
Yeah.
So I don't know what rubber bullets consist of. Like
I know they can kill,
you're seeing people left and right getting fucking hurt.
The cops are aiming for people's heads, which is like really shitty.
Right? I'm a little disgusted by our enforcement authorities right now. I don't think that's just me, but I don't want it to be. By the way, to be honest, a cop in general, a normal police officer, I don't have anything against. You and I were talking before. I know they have so much shit going on in their lives that like they've seen the dregs of society. They've seen the worst of society. They have to deal with it daily. I get it. I don't fault them. I do fault these people shooting innocent fucking people who are protesting and not hurting other people.
Yeah. Yeah. If they're like legally protesting,
Legally.
but like if the president's saying that it's not legal. Matter of fact, the president's saying that if you're protesting, you're an insurrectionist.
And they're also saying don't wear masks, which guess what I'm fucking wearing. Are you going out on June 14th?
Yeah, I'm not wearing a mask.
I'm bringing mine.
I don't give a shit. I'm going to be an Elgin.
I am bringing a
Famous
backpack,
last
though,
words, right?
of stuff. Huh?
Famous last words, right?
Yeah, well, right. I
mean, like there is like
have a
two.
list.
There are two towns that are like really big Hispanic hotbeds, Aurora and Elgin.
Does Aurora have a no kings? It was not listed on their website. I mean, I was shocked at that.
I'm sure we'll see some real gross, awful people driving through and jeering and doing all that stuff.
Cool.
Could be people throwing stuff. Who knows? It could happen.
Something I'm seeing a
Probably
lot
people
of.
like people from St. Charles rolling coal, as they like to do. You know what rolling coal is?
No, but it makes me feel like the gangsters of the '90s rap videos, just like rolling by like mean mugging, and not doing anything about it.
Rolling coal is when you're in a truck.
Oh, coal.
Yeah, when
Oh.
you have the black smoke come out. when
Yeah.
you're in a
Okay.
truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Black smoke.
Beat you to it. There's already California fires because you dickheads don't vote for anything to help the environment.
So serious subject for No King's Day. Ironically, Trump's birthday. Not ironically, because it was designed to be that. Trump's birthday. My mom's birthday, and my mom died fucking hating old yam tits. So I'm gonna fucking carry that goddamn flag proudly.
Yeah.
But he has gone on record saying protesting his birthday party is illegal. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not.
If you're MAGA, like the guy you went for is he's
a little bitch.
He's a draft dodger.
Yes, he called them losers.
A draft dodger wants to have
Chumps.
a military parade on his birthday.
I don't get that. I don't understand where that correlation comes from.
I don't think
Besides, he
there's been
loves Kim Jong's.
The last time we had like a military parade was probably like around the First World War.
What? For real?
Yeah, we just don't do them.
Well, I know it wasn't normal, but
We
like,
don't have to.
no shit. That's just a dick waving contest where for the smallest dick.
We have so
North
much
Korea.
stuff. Yeah, we have so much stuff. It would be silly to do it. What was it? Somebody like showed like a Russian general why don't you guys do it? And he took him to the field where we have like all the planes and everything parked and all the trucks. And it was like as far as the eye could see. And he's like, it would take forever to show everything that we have in a parade.
Why would you want to
There's
show
no point.
everything? That doesn't make sense. Also,
'Cause
all that
it's
shit's
for
in
a
one
small
location.
man.
Isn't that like the perfect time to fucking invade?
Yeah, it would be.
Jesus Christ.
I don't understand it. They're going to spend like $187 million on this.
No, they can't because they're worried about spending money. So why would they spend money on something so frivolous?
And it's costing over $100 million to send the Marines in.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
With no fucking hotels, no food, no water.
Meanwhile, they got rid of PBS.
Yeah.
Sesame Street had to go to HBO, right?
A lot of people have been reaching out to Sesame Street. There's people who want to be on the right side of history here. I cannot believe the shit. I mean, I do. I'm done saying that. Like, nothing pisses me off more than when I'm in like Reddit comments and they're like, "How did it come to this? I didn't see this coming." I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Dude, Democrats suck.
No, dude. Oh, I have
Democrats suck really bad.
zero fucking faith or hope.
I have no. I know Raj Kashamudi. I can't wait to not vote for him. He's our rep.
No. Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. My
Yeah.
bad. I've
He,
never said his name out loud.
He said that he wants to coordinate with ICE. So I'm like, nope,
I'm sorry.
nope, not voting for you, tough guy.
Voting's coming up pretty soon. We just got our
Sure
voting.
is.
Yeah. Fucking vote, people.
Fucking vote
That is our voice. That is our legal fucking voice.
for now.
Yeah, no shit. Okay, let's talk about one more thing and not be so doom and gloom. What are you bringing to the protest?
Myself and a sign.
You're gonna make it?
Yes.
I bought those flags. You're welcome to have one or two or whatever.
No, I'll just make a sign. I'll probably grab some cardboard and
Okay.
a stick.
Stick. Do you know what you're gonna write?
Probably. I think I was gonna do like some sort of goofy thing of Trump in like a dictator uniform and just say like "fortunate son," and I might show up in my military gear.
Oh, see, to be honest, I think that's what we need more of. We need more like the visual representation of what they think they have, but is actually people with a conscious mind. I think we need more veterans and more soldiers to be very visually present. I think it'll be vital.
Well, I think I'm going to do that.
Just like waving the American flag. I think we need to have the American flag. That is our fucking symbol. And they don't get to co-opt something that this country is. They're trying to really hard, but I don't want to.
Well, that is what Nazism was. It was National Socialism. It was nationalism. Nationalism can suck a dick.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm not a huge fan of I don't give a shit about the flag in all honesty.
I understand, but it needs to be co-op. It needs to be brought back to the actual side that's actually representing the fucking country.
Oh, like you put your flag. You chose the MAGA flag. This is our flag.
Yes.
I hear you.
You can have the "Don't Tread on Me." You can have the fucking battle fucking.
No, the thing that's
flag.
funny about
I
the
don't
Gadsden
care.
flag is that they are
Gadsden.
definitely getting their getting tread upon.
They're getting tread upon, and they're not doing anything about it. They're welcoming it.
Dude,
All right.
I commend your dad for being a Second Amendment guy and actually like standing up and saying fuck this. It is awesome that he's doing that.
I need him to do it more, though.
He's probably not comfortable. And again,
I'm not-
he's playing a long game, dude.
I
You can't get
understand.
upset all the time.
All right. So walk me through the long game. This is something you preach a lot, and I think it's vital for me to learn this because I'm so reactionary.
Yeah, and just don't. Like, just don't fucking be like.
Okay, but work with my ADHD brain because don't and do is not a thing.
So what I tell Heather, because Heather gets really reactionary about things too, and there's a trick that I would do when I didn't have any money and I was super poor and I wanted to get something. This is when I was like a difference
masturbate
between
all the time.
yeah. It was definitely, it's like, I want to do that, but, or do I need to do that? It was one of those things where I would want something. I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy it.
Okay.
So I would just I would pick that thing up in the store and I would just walk around with it.
I do the same thing.
And I'm not going to buy it. I just want to walk around with it and convince myself that I don't want it.
Yeah. I do the same
And just walking
thing.
around and looking at other things, eventually I realize I don't really want that thing.
Yeah.
And I'll walk back and I'll put it back.
Oh, it's a great feeling.
And I do the same thing with my angry thoughts.
Okay, walk me through how that works.
I will have my angry, like, people think like my wife will often think that I don't get upset. Fucking hell, I don't get upset. I get very upset.
Yeah.
I just don't show it. I'll walk around with my anger. I'll just do that for a little while.
Okay.
I don't let it out.
Internalize it.
Yeah, I internalize it. I walk around with it for a little while, like if it's either minutes, hours, days, if I have to, and then I just fucking put it back. And I don't externalize it until I have to. Externalizing is making the purchase.
I get it, but isn't that potentially damaging to your psyche?
No, you're learning coping skills.
Well, there's only so far coping can go before now you're the victim and you're just staying silent.
No, you're rationalizing whether you should make the purchase or not, based off of not a knee jerk reaction, but whether it's justified.
Whether it's justified. So you
Yeah.
can still make the purchase.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm seeing your point now.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I had that one job, I always told Heather, like, if I come home and I've been fired, it's because I morally felt like I made the right decision. Like, I'm not gonna lose my shit unless I like morally feel justified doing this. And I know that me being let go or me losing my fucking shit and rage quitting,
That doesn't help anybody.
it doesn't help anybody. But like, if it was, if at the time, if they're letting me go, they're doing me a favor and they're doing them a favor. Like, I obviously don't want to work for a company that wants to treat people that way.
Right.
And you want to continue to treat people that way. So we're both benefiting, and I'll tell her that, in this way, if I'm going to lose my shit, it's going to be for a justified manner, not something that's knee jerk.
So
if I stay mad long enough,
Oh, okay.
but like to do it immediately out of the gate every time you read something,
Yeah.
being reactionary at every single thing that comes across, that's playing like not reacting to that. You can be upset. You can walk around with it, but you don't have to make the purchase. You got to play the long game and like pick your battles. And right now, we're in the Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
We're not in LA.
But that shit's
I know,
hitting
but I'm just saying. All you can do now is be prepared. Fortune is a river. Gather from it. Be prepared for it.
I really want to go down the Taoism mentality more, and that kind of screams to it. Okay, I see your point.
Yeah.
And
It's okay being upset.
and I like it.
Yeah,
I
it's
respect
okay
it.
being upset. Just like you don't have to like immediately write something. Like
That's
you
so
can
hard,
you can vent on those dudes. Just don't vent
Yeah,
on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Unless you feel like it's a milestone
Unless
that needs to be
unless it's justified.
yeah, unless you feel like it's a milestone that needs to kind of be written down, which is what I do on Facebook every once in a while.
I
It's
have noticed it. You're the only person I get like updates about, like in my email. It's like, John posted a new thing, and I'm like, time to go read it. And that's like, dude, I don't go to Facebook very often anymore. Like I was posting like 18 times a fucking day,
yeah, it's a waste.
and it's a waste.
And nobody is going to want to read.
Exactly. So now the irony is I'm trying to post a little more positive things. No one gives a shit. So I've become the grumpy reactionary.
Yeah,
That's odd.
yeah, you can't do it like multiple times a day. Hell, I don't even think you should even be doing it multiple times a week. Even I think that's too
Yeah,
much. Unless it's like a bunch of stuff. Because then people get sick of it. They don't want to read it anymore. I know, like you were talking about with marketing, like you have to put it out all the time, and if you don't, you get forgotten.
well-
Or I honestly feel like if you do it once a week and somebody's looking forward to it, not that I'm saying that people are looking forward to what I'm writing,
That's consistency.
but I mean, like
Content and consistency.
if you do it, it doesn't have to be like every Friday. But when you have something, do it when you have something meaningful to say. Again, I will be upset about something and I just let it roll around in my head. The stuff that I post is shit that's been in my head for days or weeks.
Well, it's very well worded. It's very well argued, and like it feels like it was written rather than just said. Like it feels like a book entry. Every post you do feels very like personal. It feels very, but like looked on in from the outside, seeing all the angles and being like, look, here's where I think you're coming from. And here's why I think that might be incorrect based on the knowledge that I have about this other thing. And then please inform me otherwise. Like you never close the door. And that's one of the things I really respect about how you introduce debates is you don't close the door. You welcome it. And that makes you a really good leader.
They all peter out eventually.
Everyone else does.
Nobody else wants to.
Nope. I'll argue with you.
Well, yeah, what do you want to argue about?
Oh.
Guess you're not. You gotta get upset about something. Walk around
Burritos
with
should
it.
not have beans or guacamole.
Oh, I agreed. So next,
Okay, good.
next one. That was an easy one.
That our new idea for a podcast just like went down the shitter really quick.
Wasn't there at one time we were gonna have that? Shit, one time I was supposed to have my own podcast.
Yeah, what happened with that?
Work happened.
Ah,
I was having a hard enough time making this podcast, let alone doing my own.
fair.
I really do want to do that still.
You should.
Like, it doesn't have to be long.
Don't make it a job. Don't make it long. Dude, some of the podcasts I listen to are like 15 minutes.
And that's it.
I was talking to a guy the other day. He's like, I don't listen to anything over 5. I was like, 5 fucking minutes? What the hell do you talk about?
Christ.
Dude,
You'd be like-
I know jokes off the top of my head that are longer than that.
I'd be like, if I took a pencil and just shoved it in your ear, like how far would I have to push to get to your brain? Seriously? Fucking fish brain? 5 minutes tops?
Dude, that is rough. Yeah. Oh God, having those conversations is fucking hard. Yeah. So someone was telling me, it's like, oh, I saw your podcast was 2 hours, and I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, you should make it like half an hour. I'm like, thank you for telling me what I should do on my show. And so something
You know what?
Even,
Fuck that
you
person.
don't even
They're not.
listen to it.
They're not even gonna listen to this thing anymore.
You're not gonna listen to
Hey,
it.
fuck
so
you,
like-
stranger. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Nobody else listens to this thing.
I don't care.
We have less
it's-
listeners
it's
now
not-
than we ever had.
No, and I don't care. Like, it's not that I don't care about our listeners, because if someone is listening to it, fucking thank you. Like, seriously, that's amazing.
Do you know who our one listener is?
Pez?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pez. Love you, Pez.
Which, by the way, he called me out today, and I wanted to say something, but I
Oh.
didn't want to be like defensive about it.
The DC thing.
Yeah.
let's
So
hear it.
I totally want to say it on here.
Let's hear it.
For our only listener, is that I am not a DC hater. I don't hate DC. I just don't like it. And it's not that I dislike it. It's not like, oh, I don't like that. It's like, I don't enjoy it, so I don't read it. You know, it's like, I don't like most romantic comedies, so I don't read them. I don't watch it. There are some DC things I like.
It. Well, Vertigo. Vertigo.
Oh,
is
I mean,
amazing.
Vertigo's hands down a fucking amazing.
Yeah.
There's another subsect of DC that I really like. The whatever. Did Fables come out on Vertigo, or is
I
that
think
the
so.
other one?
I'm sure Pez is like losing his fucking
Yeah,
mind
I
right
know,
now.
okay.
I'm pretty certain it was.
I liked all of that shit, and I do like some DC. There are some like Identity Crisis. Like I loved fucking Identity Crisis.
Have you ever like talked at great length with Pez about DC?
No, because the problem is I don't know anything.
But the thing is he is so knowledgeable.
Yeah.
It's fucking riveting listening to him talk about it.
And that's what you and I have always said, that is that if you're passionate about something, that's riveting. Like I will listen to someone talk about wine, even though I do not like wine. But if you're passionate about it, I don't give a shit if you know a lot about it. If you're
How do you talk
passionate
about
about it,
wine?
there I am.
How do you talk about wine?
Well,
without,
I mean, you
without
can talk,
drinking it.
You can talk about
Do you
like
drink
the-
wine at all?
I don't like it. I don't mind ice wine, but it's really fucking expensive,
So you
and
like sweet
I don't
wine?
like. I like really sweet.
Yeah. You can go to Germany for shizzle.
I can't do red. Can't do
There's sweet reds.
most white. I've never had one.
You never
It's-
had a sweet red?
No, I've had them, but they're not sweet enough.
Oh, yeah, definitely ice wine then.
Yeah. But then it's like a pencil thin. It's like barely a glass for like 40, 50 bucks.
yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do that. I've only had it a handful of times, but all of them have been very good. Oh, now, granted, I still taste the alcohol, which is like I need a chaser like right afterwards to
Even
get
with
that taste out of my
wine?
mouth.
Wine is super good with food.
Everyone
Beer's good
says
with
that.
food. Like
I'll say a stout and like a burger.
Oh, yeah,
that's
for sure.
pretty fucking
For
raw,
sure.
dude.
like, have you ever like gone to Heather and I will go to the Grumpy Goat every once in a while.
I've been there.
Oh yeah, we did this a couple weeks ago. So when my knee got hurt and we couldn't move around a bunch, I love sitting outside of the Grumpy Goat and yelling at the golfers
Oh, that's awesome.
and fucking like giving them a hard time.
I love that.
Yeah. Matter of fact, if they ever are pushing the cart instead of pulling the cart, oh man, I lose my fucking mind.
Why?
Because because of fucking science. That's why. You don't push your car. I mean, people can have front wheel drive, but everybody knows it's fucking the worst drivetrain on a car.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
When you push a cart,
Yeah.
pulling a cart is way easier.
Yeah.
It's so much easier.
Yeah.
And I hate people that push carts.
You know, pushing.
Is this an irrational thing that I have?
Yes, this is wildly irrational. And
But when it
it's
has three
beautiful.
wheels,
Okay.
and it's over rough terrain,
Okay.
you're going to want to pull that thing.
Okay.
The only people who've never worked a fucking day in their life are going to be pushing a cart.
I kind of want you to keep going down this rabbit hole, but
Fucking
I'm a
motherfuckers.
little nervous.
I just steadily drink more wine and eat more fancy fatty cheeses and meats and just yell at them. I know.
I love that your argument is about the direction the cart is being wheeled.
Oh my God. Fucking pull the cart. You fucking losers.
So
I don't even golf. I hate golf. It's like a guaranteed way for me to hurt my back.
dude, right?
I 100%.
It hurts so bad.
Now that I do architecture and everything, like it's all money and like once you get into like that millionaire bracket, it's for you to like be a really good project manager and make money. Like, dude, you got to golf, man.
I don't.
I can't do it. I can't golf.
I never understood that
Dude, I
mentality.
will drink beer and talk stories with you.
Yeah.
And I could talk about fucking anything.
Yes,
Almost anything.
Well,
if it's like
to the degree. But
cars and sports, I kind of have
So-
a
so-
hard time.
And you brought that up years ago. It's like, well, every guy should have a little modicum knowledge about sports.
You
I was
have
like,
to do a
no,
little bit.
no. I'm sorry. I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
You got to at least
that-
know what the sports are.
No, I disagree. Because if I have to placate to your
No.
hobbies,
Oh, hold on. No, but this is like American culture. It's just
Yeah.
American culture in general.
Agreed.
Like, if you,
I think it's ridiculous.
If you like, if somebody didn't know like how many, if a guy
yeah.
didn't know how many quarters were in a football game,
What's wrong with that? The guy's interested in something else, and I guarantee
I
he's
wouldn't-
really interested in something else.
I would be so fucking weirded out by that.
Why?
Immediately, that would tell me that he was not socialized as a child.
Or he might be more feminine and find
No.
interest in
it
other
doesn't matter.
things.
You've not been socialized.
I
as a
never
child.
played sports as a kid. I didn't get into sport. Like I played baseball.
You had to you had to do sports when you were in junior high,
but I never
and
paid
high school.
I never paid attention to it. High school was different. That's when I started
No,
getting
but you
into
still
like
had,
athletics.
you had to have played some sort of sports in gym in high school.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't pay attention because I hated it so much. I hated basketball.
I hated
The
basketball.
only thing
too.
I remember was you had to dribble, and I was like, "Why? That's not convenient."
But you know that you have to dribble though,
right, but I can't tell you how many innings are in basketball.
Just
Yeah.
11 for sure. I don't know that much about basketball either. I know there's 3-pointers.
We went
There's
to
layups. I've never done a layup in my life.
dude. Layups are hard. You gotta
Ever
like, pull yourself
Dude,
up
it
over
is
the
so
chin.
hard. I can't do a fucking layup. It's supposed to be the easy one.
Oh, that's a
You
basketball.
had to you had to run while bouncing a ball.
I know.
And then jump at the end.
That's 2 things.
That was 3 things.
Those 3 things.
You had to run,
Madness.
jump, and bounce.
Wrestling's so much easy. Take the other person to their back.
Push him
That's
down.
it.
As hard as you can.
As hard as you can. I love that we're giving basketball players like the credit of being more skilled than wrestlers.
It was. It's definitely. You know the thing that always sucked was like in football where like they called them like the skilled positions and the non-skilled positions.
Oh.
It's like, dude, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you for real.
Like I'm like, because I'm a bigger guy. I wasn't.
Were you
allowed
not
to,
considered skilled? I thought you were.
No.
You were Mike linebacker and a pulling guard.
Those were all. Well, linebacker maybe a little bit, but
Not a guard?
no, the guys who got to touch the ball were the skill positions.
Well, that's stupid. That's like
Running back.
No, that's stupid.
There you were just cattle or
Man,
or Papa Bravo.
I would not have played football for a myriad of reasons, but that is another one I would add to the list.
I would
Just
I mean,
the pure disrespect.
I don't know if I'd ever do football again.
Like in a fucking heartbeat, I would have done theater, no question.
I've done wrestling, theater.
And then you would never know about football. So
Yeah, but I would though,
why?
because you have to pay attention a little bit.
I don't.
You should,
Why?
for cultural reasons,
For
just to be able to understand the society that you live in.
I understand enough aspects to get colloquialisms. I'm okay with that. I'm not saying I understand enough. I'm saying I understand the
Yeah, I'm not
idea
saying
of
like you got to
understanding.
do like fucking battle tactics. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to be like George Hallis. I'm just saying.
I think
know,
having-
like very basic things about
knowledge about everything.
Yes, no basic knowledge about everything. Yeah, and exactly. Like you don't. I think people like even like meatheads should fucking know some shit about Star Wars or
100%.
fucking Shakespeare. You
100%.
know?
Yes.
Yeah, you got to be well rounded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And- but
does
like-
that make sense then?
No, that I agree with.
Yeah, I'm not
It's-
saying like everybody has to know sports.
That's
everybody
my
has to know
argument.
something about everything within Western culture. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
To I don't want to say like fit in because I don't think that really works.
No.
but it's like to just
In order to communicate more efficiently, in order to
yeah, and we're technically like we're considered to be like a real low. We are a low culture society. We are not a high culture society.
What does that mean?
Japanese is 100% a high culture society, where it's like you can get by in America and not know the language or really know. You can get by and not know all the sports and everything like that.
yeah.
But like in Japanese culture, you know, and I'd say like even like if you live in like real like fancier parts like London or something like that, like aristocracy type stuff.
Okay.
There's a needed know of history and
Etiquette.
traditions and etiquettes. We just don't have that.
That's true. Yeah, I get that.
So, yeah. So, like, but there's still like minimum small things that I really think that you should know in American culture.
On a wide swath.
You know, and now that I'm saying this, like, I wonder why. I'm sorry. I wonder if the reason why the world likes American culture so much is because it is so accessible. I mean, Hollywood is American culture is Hollywood.
Agreed. Or
But I mean, but
vice
it's
versa.
But it's culture on easy mode. It's everything. You could like really do anything. There's so many different types of blockbusters. You know what I mean?
There's many different types of culture in America. That's what makes.
Yeah, but it all is kind
So
of watered.
interesting.
It's all watered down.
How so?
It's all like an Americanized version. Everything's a hamburger. You know what I mean? Like a hamburger started out as something else, and we turned it into a hamburger.
I think we're starting to see the reverse of that, though.
America just dumbs down everything that it brings in to make it.
Super true.
We dumb down
Yes.
everything to bring it in.
I agree.
And homogenize it a little bit so everybody likes it.
Yeah.
We American culture is the lowest common denominator, except for when it comes to DC Comics. There you go, Pez.
Yeah, there's a reason I did a whole album about Marvel characters and not DC. Not because I dislike it, just because I don't know enough about it. Speaking of which, that thing that we always used to do really well,
Transition. Transitioner radio.
I'm totally going to shill myself because I hate shilling myself anything that I like to do or I like to make. I hate fucking talking about it. But I'm going to do it because I really want this to work. I have 2 albums coming out this week. 3. Holy shit. I did one last night. I have 3 albums coming out this week on Spotify and iTunes and everything else. Necopop. On Friday, the Cyberpunk album is coming out. And on Saturday, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy album is coming out.
Is it all about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Well, it uses themes. So the Hitchhiker's...
Is it the Neko Pop? Or is this another? How many characters do you have?
Honestly, 3. But I'm only
heard-
focusing on 2.
Okay.
Necopop is... So there's 8 tracks, I think. 8 or 9 tracks, whatever. But there is a track per book. So Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the Restaurant at the End of the Universe, So Long Thanks for All the Fish, Mostly Harmless, and another thing, yada, yada. And then there's 3 additional tracks about books that are based in the universe of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like 53 More Things to Do in Zero Gravity, Ulan's trilogy, like Who Is This God Person Anyway, Where God Went Wrong, those things. And then there's the Homemaker's Guide to like cleaning, the omnibus of the Homemaker's Guide. So every song is like themed after what the book is about, but telling it from a point of view of someone who's like living a life, not about the book itself. And that's something I'm really kind of enjoying, is taking something that's like, hey, it's going to be completely about building a computer, but I'm going to use all the analogies into like living life, not about building a computer, but I'm going to use the language of building a computer to live my life. And that's what the song's about. So Hitchhiker's Guide coming out Saturday. Cyberpunk, which is a great fucking album, I fucking love it, is coming out Friday. And I just need people to play it, favorite it, like it, whatever. You don't even have to fucking listen to it. Just play it, turn the volume down, go about your day.
You should send a link.
I just need hits. Yeah, I will definitely put a link in there. But yeah, it's going live on Friday and Saturday. And then the Tag, the rap album, the second one, the first album is not going to be released due to your advice. It was a little too inflammatory. So we're pushing some songs off to the side, the lost songs.
Okay.
So the second album, which is called If You Can Keep It, based on the Benjamin Franklin quote that you told me about, a republic, if you can keep it. That should be out like whenever. I just posted it and I said, push it out as fast as possible. I don't want a release date for it. So that has 13 tracks, I think.
You've been a busy beaver for the 13 colonies.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the next album is All That's Left, and that has 19 tracks. That's ready to go. I'm just waiting.
Gotta bide your time. There's gonna be a lot more to write about over the next 3.5 years.
Well, I just make more music.
Yeah. Yay.
Writing calms me down a lot.
Good. That can be your walking around with it.
That's what it is. It makes me super mad, and then I write about it, and like I feel better about it afterwards. I don't feel better about it, but like I feel like I don't have to like explode about it.
Yes, that is helpful.
So on to something else. I'm done shilling.
What do you wanna
Come
talk-
up with a cool topic, John.
I
That's a great topic. Let's dive into that.
have almost completed my what is it? Great course. I love great courses on Audible. They're awesome.
Great courses.
Yeah, they're called great courses. They're college lectures. It's like taking an entire class. You know.
Like an entire class, like a whole semester's class.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, they're like hour-long lectures. There's hundreds of them.
Is it actually like recorded from classes?
It's a guy who's doing a lecture.
Well,
they're
shit.
all professors.
I totally want to do my classes now. I've only ever recorded one class.
Yeah, it's called Great Course. There might actually be some other filmmaker courses. There probably is. They have like the master class, or like the people who are famous doing it. Who is what they call it for the master.
Oh, I know
Master
what
class is like famous people doing it. Great courses are like professors.
Oh, I would far more interested in the professor side.
They are very good. The guy that does the one that I'm listening to, the very first course I ever listened to was one called Redefining Reality. And that one was fun. It's like one of the most amazing things I ever listened to. He did a course about all of the different scientific revolutions throughout human history and how scientific revolutions define the way that we see reality. And then he gives media examples in the form of books, radio, art, poetry. And it's fucking absolutely fascinating. It is so fucking cool.
How are you getting these? These are very expensive.
Audible. It's like $15 a month.
Oh, okay.
And for $15 a month, you get one thing. But
Just one?
Well, one course would be $15.
Whoa.
So very much worth it.
Yeah, the courses are going for $45 each.
Yeah. It's just like everything just costs one credit on Audible. And regardless of the credit, it's $15. You want a book that's $150, it'll be $15. You want a book that's $3, it'll be $15. Every book is one credit. Every credit costs $15. You can pay more.
Gotcha.
You can get 3 credits, and then it's less than 15 per
But you
thing.
just do the one.
I just do the one because you need time
No shit.
to get through it. Like about a month is. Usually I'll take like 2 to 3 weeks to get through something.
Oh yeah, these are kind of long.
Yeah, it's usually like an hour per lecture is pretty normal, and like
yeah.
8 to 15 lectures is pretty normal. Like about a semester.
Dude, that Redefining Reality is 36 classes.
That one is incredible. That one is
That's
so
cool.
good. The one I'm listening to now
Save you
is it's about Machiavelli.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. So everybody knows the Prince.
The Metallica song?
Yeah. The Prince was, a story it was a book that Machiavelli wrote to it was written kind of particularly for one certain prince, but he was generally writing it, but it was technically for the Medici family. But like a lot of people read it, it was famous because it was banned by the Catholic Church for 200 years. It's essentially like how to be very bad.
Oh, so it must be true.
No, it's how people who are in power stay in power and the devious shit that they do to do it.
So it sounds like it must be true.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. It was. I started reading. It's not very long. I got like halfway through it, and it's short, and I felt I was not getting the full amount of information from it because he's making a lot of references. He wrote it, around like 1450 or something like that. I mean, it was written along.
Wow. I didn't know it was that.
1492 no, like it might have been 1550. It was hundreds of years ago when he wrote it.
I had no idea.
Yeah, because I think if I remember correctly, I think he started writing it like around the time when Columbus set sail. So 1492 was probably around the 1500s. When, like he actually left. So I always felt like I was missing out on a lot of the context. And, a lot of people want to use it on how to be devious and how to, essentially lie, cheat, and steal. And I wanted to listen to this. And this course is about the prince. It gives you all the context. But the professor, who is like he specializes more in medieval stuff, and Machiavelli is technically the Enlightenment, but he knows enough about history to know how to teach Machiavelli. He goes also into a dissertation that Machiavelli wrote on a historian named Livy. Livy was like a very big historian back during the Roman times. Like he wrote probably like 1,000 years prior to when Machiavelli wrote it. And the thing that's interesting, and the big reason he said that is because like Machiavelli wrote the Prince with a very particular thing in mind, but to really understand the way that Machiavelli thought, like learning about Livy was very important. The reason for it is Livy, when he was a historian at the time, like if you have like historians like Herodotus, like all they're doing, Herodotus kind of told stories a little bit. He was more about telling history as a story. Some historians thought history of just like saying what the facts are. That would be like your dad.
Yeah, that's boring as shit.
But some historians thought, like, I want to tell you what happened and how you can apply it to you now.
Okay.
And
Hey, that's important.
It is. And Livy was one of the people who did it, thousands of years ago.
Okay.
And Machiavelli ended up, and it was like one of the hardest books to get a hold of. It was like, there was like 40 books that Livy wrote. Only like, 15 or so have ever been found.
Oh my God.
So we know only about some of them, but he was very good about writing about shit that happened, even like in ancient times compared to him, and what happened then and how you can use it now. It's and very interesting. And the way that Machiavelli got a hold of these books is because his dad was in Florence, or he was in Florence, or he might have been in France. But anyway, when he was growing up, his dad did the appendix. This is back before the printing press was really big and everybody had to write books by hand.
Yeah.
The dad did the appendix for the book. So he got like the books 1 through 10 for free, which at the time would have been like, the cost of a luxury car. I mean, it's something that, they couldn't afford. So Livy had these books growing up, or I'm sorry, Machiavelli had these books on Livy growing up. This was his entertainment at the time when having books was, considered a luxury. Like having one book, let alone like 10 books,
especially by one author. Yeah.
Who like specialized in this one thing. And Machiavelli, like he very much believed that it is incredibly important to know history. He like 100% agreed with Livy, like knowing history and knowing, and I always like say it, like to really play jazz. Learn all the history you can, understand that it never repeats, and learn what worked in the past and figure out how to make it work for you. And that is the basis for Machiavelli's thought. Like you have to be smart as fuck. He called it 2 things. Like you have to be the prince. And then I'll tell you who the prince was and like what Machiavelli really thought. To be the prince, you have to be 1 part lion and 1 part fox. The lion was the one that, was loud and roaring and scared the shit out of everybody. But the fox was the one that was clever and fooled people.
Right.
You can't be one, you can't be the other. You have to be both. And the way that he saw it was the prince was written for somebody who recently took over and has to gain power and hold power.
Oh,
like it's essentially it's for a new person who is gaining land and needs to keep it.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting when you read that,
That's loud as shit.
and a lot of people think like, well, this is a way to gain power and take it from people. But when you read Livy was all about the republic, not about like an authoritarian going into place. Like the prince, Livy wrote all about the history of Rome and all the different types of governments. And I thought this was like super cool. Like Italy back then, like when we think of Rome, we think of like all of like the whole Roman Empire.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you think like, well,
I mean,
everywhere from like the Alps all the way down to the boot. And, when they had the empire, it stretched all the way as far east and to the west. And
Right.
But like what it really was when it first started, it was like different ways that there was all these hills in Rome and around all these different cities. They were city-states, and they were all run different ways. Some places had a king. Some places had pure democracy. and some people had what was called like being ruled by the best, the quote unquote the best. That was the aristocracy. You know, it was the super rich people.
Yeah. Right.
And he
right.
said that like when you looked at all of those places and how they ran their governments, the democracy was always ends up getting destroyed because the mob destroys everything. Of
course.
You get fucking dum-dums will just like ruin everything.
Right.
The aristocracies, again, fucking dum-dums. Because they think that they're smarter than everybody else. They think the rules don't apply to them, and it never works out for them. When you have a king, it doesn't work out because you have one guy who's making all the rules. Sometimes it could really work out if you have a good king. But like eventually it's going to fail because it goes to the kid and then that kid and then that
absolute
kid.
power.
And it always goes to shit. And he said you had all of these city-states all doing their own things, and they all kind of rose and they all fell and they all had their problems. But the one city-state that did the best, that had a little bit of all three, was Rome. Rome had a republic. The republic had somebody who was kind of in charge and ran everything, so it was a little bit
Okay.
it was a little bit king.
Okay.
It had all the like the rich people there were kind of running their show,
Okay.
which was the
yeah.
aristocracy. And then it had to be voted on by people, which
Oh my
was
God.
democracy. It was a
Okay.
little bit of everything. So everybody was a little bit happy. All of the class warfare went back. It goes all the way that far back. As far as we can think, man. There's always going to be some sort of class warfare.
Yeah, of course.
They like figured out how to make it all really, really work. And that's why republics works out really well. And it makes me think about like current times now, and everybody wants to chide you and say like, you know, we need to protect democracy in America, you know, and they say, well, it's not a democracy, it's a republic. That's what it was. But you got to like really understand what a republic is. A republic is a table with three legs. And by us removing the entire democratic part of it to make people think that their vote doesn't matter, or removing people's ability to vote,
Yeah,
you're
right.
removing the one leg. You're removing the leg of the people.
Which is going to fail.
Now you have a weak table. You know, if you're leaving it up just to the aristocracy, which we definitely are, and now leaving it up to a king,
Which-
now we're getting a wiggly table.
Right.
And you gotta, you know, if there's a way where you can remind people to like, we need to bring the democratic part of the republic back to actually have this be strong.
So how do you topple that table then?
Okay, so this is the other part that I was thinking of. And we were talking about this upstairs, like, how do you start over? Machiavelli said this, and Livy said this. The way that republics last are the ones that burn to the ground and start over often.
Right. Right.
And they go back to basics,
Right.
which sounds very interesting. There's I think right now we're in a progress of a burning, but like, what basic does it go back to?
That is my question. That is the inciting fucking incident of what we're talking about on a grander scale than this conversation. This is the fucking end of the first act.
Well, I mean, we've had multiple acts.
Well, I mean, dude, like, there's going to be billions of acts and billions of stories and billions of acts within stories. But, like, if you're looking at the country as a fucking whole, we are at the end of the first fucking act.
Well, the revolution was
Well,
of
no, I'm sorry.
burning.
End of the second act. Sorry.
The revolution was the first burning.
Not first.
And in the first
Yes.
burning, the people won. Like, we ended up getting state rights.
Right.
Essentially, America became like several city-states.
It became America.
Well-
what we know it as.
No, it isn't.
Oh, it is
That's-
not.
No.
Oh, well,
No.
I'm sorry. I take that back.
No. So when the revolution occurred, the super rich were very irritated about paying their taxes, and they didn't want that to happen. So the super rich convinced the poor people to fight a war.
Yeah.
And the fucking
like
poor
now.
people said, you know what? You're right. Let's fuck this shit up. And they started a war with Britain. They were able to do it because it was on the other side of the world, fighting one of the most powerful countries to live at that point.
Right.
And like, we ended up lucking out because we did have France help us at the time, which was super helpful. But like, through a series of mishaps and one of the greatest things that George Washington was great at was fucking running away. Like, he literally, and I know like this sounds like a joke, but nobody could retreat better than George Washington. Nobody could live to fight another day better than him. He was the most slippery motherfucker out there. He couldn't win wars. He couldn't fight battles. It was hard as fuck. It was super lucky. Like he had to make his own fortune and plan on things, but like he was awesome at retreating.
Playing the long game.
He was great at playing a long game and get the fuck out of there and wearing them down. But so we won in the revolution, and by we I mean like the rich people and the poor people kicked the king out.
You're right.
And we lived in the Articles of Confederation, which was, it was like a government that was created from a war declaration. But we did that for a really long time, and we had difficulties because for the same reasons that Rome had problems, where like everybody kind of had their own city states, or like everything was essentially like its own city states. They ran their own things. They were having problem with money going in between places, but the rich people were getting upset because the poor people weren't paying their money back. They were worried that loans weren't getting paid. Like that was a huge part. Like, a big reason why we had the Second Amendment is because the rich people were scared that the poor people would rise up, and the rich people wanted to make sure that they could get militias to stop the rich people from rising up. And that's really what it was, because you had all of the larger states, and at the time Massachusetts it's like a small state, but it was considered a large state because it had a shit ton of commerce and a lot of people lived there. And they went from a like an actual coin and hard currency to a paper currency, and people were like worried about how much the money was actually worth. And it sucked. And like these people like were convinced to leave their homes, leave their farms, fight a war. When they came back to all this fucking debt. And the people who like never fought, the rich people who never fought, were like, well, thank God you're back. Now you got to fucking pay me. So we had all of these fucking just insurrections and people burning shit down.
No shit.
There was rebellion. The Whiskey Rebellion was a big one. All these rebellions were going on, and like fucking Washington even came in. Why? Like, just so you know, the rich people quickly and efficiently, when run by Washington, went in and cleared that shit out. The people who fought the wars and had to pay all the debt, they went through and they fucking killed them all. So that was one of the reasons. They were just worried that people weren't going to be paying their debt, and that the poor people would actually rise up and do all this stuff. So, and there was problem with interstate commerce, because one state would have a different coin currency versus another. The other one it was just pure conspiracy. One side just accused the other side. John Jay was the president at the time. The opposing side just accused him of saying that he was going to be selling the rights of the Mississippi Delta to Spain. There was no proof it was going to happen,
right.
But it was just people got riled up and they pissed them off. And
everything you're talking about is happening today.
It's all happened. So people were just pissed off and ignorant, and they got mad about it.
Yep.
So what ended up happening was all the people who were running all these individual city states, they got into what do we now know as Independence Hall in Philadelphia, and they just did a silent coup. They stole everybody's freedoms that they had as individual city states and rewrote a constitution without their authority. They closed the doors. They didn't let anybody in to talk or to hear them have conversations on what was going to happen. Lots of compromise happened in between the northern states who didn't want slavery to be in versus the southern states who wanted to have slavery. It was like very important for them to have slavery. That's where we're like, when you get like the 3/5 compromise and stuff like that, that's because the poor states were super worried because it was the rich people who owned property, being slaves, wanted to make sure that they had a way to stay in power. So like they wrote into the Constitution the idea of the Electoral College and the Senate. Originally, like the Senate was going to be appointed just by rich people. They weren't going to vote them at all. But
of course it was.
But they ended up changing that. But they ended up working on the system that was going to be, the pure system that Rome had, where you're going to have democratically elected representatives being in charge with what they called the executive, which was going to be the president. There was supposed to be checks and balances to make it all work. Once all that stuff happened, they had to go and get it all ratified in between the colonies. Like it was, they completely redid the whole thing. They tried to rush it as fast as they could. They fucking pissed people off, something fierce. And people like literally like the old hillbillies came out of the hills to fight that shit and say, fuck you, you guys aren't starting this shit. And there was what is now known as the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers ended up going out. The Federalist Papers were written by Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, John Jay. I think it's those three. And it was all written under the pseudonym Polybius.
No shit.
To explain how, so if you want to know like an instruction manual on how the Constitution's supposed to work, you read the Federalist Papers. And if you want to read all the people that said like, no, screw you. And I've read them. I've read the Federalist Papers and I've read an entire book about the entire history of how all this stuff happened. It's all awesome stuff. I can give you the books when I'm done. I haven't read the Anti-Federalist Papers. Those are the people, because at the time, you know, it was all done through media. At the time, their media was papers.
Yeah, right.
They would write in, and then people would write in and reply. You know, and you had people like Patrick Henry and stuff like that. The people who actually like were the war heroes were saying, "Fuck you. We want to make sure that we get like our real rights." So like the first amendments, the first 10 amendments that we know is the Bill of Rights, were essentially forced into place in the Constitution. It was like a last bid effort for the people to actually get their say in it, because they had 13 colonies that they all had to go through. The state would refuse the southern states refused to ratify unless they included all the things to make sure that the aristocracy got them a maximum amount of power and the South got their slaves. And then the northern states were the ones that were kind of fighting to make sure that there was going to be, you know, more rights for individual people. I mean, there was, those people were kind of all over the place, but you know, it ended up getting down to where I think like Massachusetts held out and said like, we're not going to fucking ratify this thing. You won't, you're not going to get it. And then they just force fed the first 10 amendments in. And that's how we got the 10 amendments. That's how we got our Constitution. It wasn't, it was done behind closed doors. It was done, you know, not really with anybody's consent of how it was actually drafted. It was forced down our throat. And the concessions were slavery. And the little bit that we got was our Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments. And it's funny, like I always want to joke and say like, you know, the first sentence of the First Amendment is, you know, the country is not going to, the country is not going to have an actual religion of the government. It won't like identify one. Everybody can have their own religion. It is funny that it worked out that way, but technically it wasn't the very first one. I think the one that they wanted, I think it may have happened later as an amendment. It's actually, they were worried about how big the country would get and how many representatives you would need. And I think he wanted to break it down to be like 40,000 people per person. And that would have been great, you know.
Wow, that would have had a lot more fucking voice.
Would be way more voice, but they ended up, I don't remember if they got that as like a 17th amendment or something like.
Is that a thing? I'm sorry, I didn't even know that was a.
Yeah, there's 26 amendments.
No, I know there are more, but like
it went in as a vote and it got turned down at the initial one, and we ended up getting the first 10. But I was like, it was one of the things that we were fighting to get in, and by we I mean the people were fighting to get in.
Yeah.
We just didn't get it at that time. But that was the second time that everything changed. The third time would be the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Civil War was a huge one. That's when, you know, the South started to push away from the table. And they, you know, again, it was just like made up shit. Like Lincoln was never gonna take slavery away.
Yeah.
Like
right,
it was a
right,
nightmare.
right.
Everybody wanted to kick that can down the road. Nobody wanted to worry about that. I mean, fucking like it's a nightmare. Jesus, nobody was going to want a civil war. But because people just fed themselves with lies and propaganda and bullshit, they whipped themselves into a frenzy. And it's funny, like the way that the Civil War happened was like nobody took them seriously. They thought it was like a silly thing. They thought it was dumb. And the South is actually the first people to actually kick it off first. And everybody wants to like give the South. I mean, this is one of the myths that was done by the Daughters of the Confederacy, was that it was supreme commanders on the South was the reason why they were able to last so long, and that the North was dumb. That's not really the case. I don't even think that it was because nobody took them seriously. You know what I mean? Like now, like imagine if if Texas broke off, you'd be in trouble. But like if you had Alabama breaks off, right? Nobody's gonna fucking take them seriously.
No.
And if they go over to another state and they start like shooting up places, nobody's gonna take it seriously. But like it ended up snowballing, and they had like all these generals who wanted to be like, listen, dude, like you went to the war college, I went to the war college. We're not gonna fight a war. We're not doing this shit. And the Northern generals never took it seriously. There was a whole slew of generals before Grant.
Okay.
All those generals were put in a position where they could have fucking wiped out, like fucking just killed everybody in the South. They could have just slaughtered all of them. And they didn't do it because they didn't take it seriously.
Right.
Because like who would think that you would ever fucking take this thing seriously? It's so silly. Nobody wants to take it seriously. But the South kept pushing. They kept letting them get away. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse until a general from Illinois, who was just known for his being a drunk and persistent,
Yep.
him and his buddy Sherman,
Boring from what I've read.
he never let him get away. He never. Like once he fucking locked his eyes on you, he was like a Terminator. He's like, we're just gonna fucking wipe you out. And we're just gonna march all the way down there and wipe all you fuckers out. And he did.
Mm-hmm.
He took all of the power in the industry of the North, and he just didn't fucking let up. And they didn't have a fucking snowball's chance in hell.
That's amazing.
That was that time. That was a different revolution.
Correct.
Right? And then I would argue there was a revolution that happened in the 60s.
Agree. Oh, massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like that cultural revolution, that
Yes.
was a huge one.
Of course.
When the South and black folks actually got like real civil rights.
Yes.
That was a huge thing. And I think like what we're going through now is like a culmination of like the losses of the British. Because you got to remember, like, you can trace the British all the way, like everybody who lives in like Appalachia to the British. Like we've been fighting the British, who turned into the South, who turned into the Dixiecrats, who turned into now the Republican Party. Have all kind of been the same people that we've been fighting for.
Right. It's the same overarching character.
Yeah, since the very beginning. It's always like it's geographically the same area, like as far as like groups of people, but they're okay. But those aren't bad people. Those are people who just have always just been identified different and don't like outsiders. That's really like basically what they are. There's no difference in between you and them. You also hate outsiders.
Yeah.
You also hate being outside. Now, what you can do is if you have an outsider and somebody who you can always trust, who has a tradition of being non-trustworthy. If I'm somebody who's in charge, if I have the mind of Machiavelli, I would you would use those people constantly as a way to pit them against other people. If you know that they're always going to be that way, if you know traditionally they're always going to be that way, you weaponize that tradition. And you use that to your favor. Get them to fight each other.
Okay.
Find out what these guys do. But I think so we're just kind of in another one of these things. It's just funny that like it's a fucking bozo from New York who's convinced the South this time. But this time it's different. This time they're going to win.
And it's all the same thing.
It is. It really is the same thing. It's always, it's media induced, and we're talking about just America right now. You know, the media induced stuff happened in the 1920s and 1930s in Europe. It happened in America in the 1920s and 30s too. you know, and it often there's some sort of economic downturn that occurs before it. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that. But you know, if you listen to Machiavelli, everything happens differently, and you need to know enough about the past to know on how to gather water from the river to create and gather your own fortune. There's a lot of other really neat things that were in that book as well. Like he talked about like the different types of armies. I thought this was actually really, really interesting. He's like, he goes, there's 3 armies. The first army is going to be your the army that you purchase. Now, those are your mercenaries. He goes, 100% of the time, mercenaries are the worst. You
Sell
don't
swords, yeah, because they have no loyalty, no allegiance.
Exactly. You don't want that. They have no allegiance. There are places where people there's stories from all over the place, and it's cool in the way that Machiavelli will tell his stories. He'll tell a story from the past, you know, and how it didn't work out for them, and at the present, and how it either worked or didn't work out. So like he was really good at like taking the past and the present and the contemporary, and just essentially taking these are the stories on how it worked historically, and then you know it's very helpful the way that he told his stories, and he'll talk about how like you know there's entire towns that like were taken over because the town paid mercenaries to protect them, and those mercenaries like stayed for 20 years. They just hung out. So he's like, one army, mercenaries, never good. Second army is the armies that you borrow. It's when you're using somebody else's army.
Yeah, right.
And he said that when you're using somebody else's army, also, you never want that. Because when you're using somebody else's army, it might be somebody who you can work well with. But when you're using somebody else's army, now you owe somebody.
Correct.
And he said, then that never works out.
It's all about debt, right?
It's all about debt. Yes, sir. See, you remember. And I thought about that when you're using somebody else's army. And I thought about like, you know, we always want to, right now, Donald Trump is trying to eliminate America being the world's police. And I think for a really long time, people complained about the world's police.
Right,
and like to an
right.
extent, like, dude, I get it. Like nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to be the world's police.
Of course.
But like when you read what Machiavelli's saying, it kind of, there is a method to that madness. When American boys travel 10,000 miles to fight a war that a bunch of Asian boys ought to be fighting themselves.
Yeah.
When you're going over to somebody else to fight their wars for them, they owe you. There's a debt.
Correct.
So like there is a positive to being that, because now everybody owes you a debt. And if there's a debt that's owed, there's a debt to be paid, and it keeps peace. So there's a plus to that.
That's game theory.
It is, I suppose so. The third army, those are your army. That's from your people. He's like, that's the army you always want. You always want your people fighting in your army. And like he talked about the importance of that they have common values and things like that. You know, and it's hard to get common values, especially with a place as big as America.
Yeah.
You know, and what works as a common value that everybody can say that they are? Nationalism, that flag. So nationalism has always been really important. You know, when we were growing up and we, you know, put your hand over your heart, say the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of the day, like that's nationalism. And nationalism is...
It's indoctrinating.
It is, but it was important to, if you didn't have everybody be on the same team, you don't have a very effective army. Like everybody has to have a common thing. Now, I could also argue that everybody going through basic training in a way and then breaking you down and rebuilding you.
That's where I wanted to go to.
Kind of in a way.
That kind of makes sense.
Kind of in a way you are giving them like common things.
Right.
But he also mentioned like the importance of religion. And Machiavelli like never really goes into the importance of like Christianity in general. But he does go into the importance of a religion to have a common religion for their army, because that's important, because it's a cultural thing, but also because it quells people better if people have some sort of religious code that they have to follow. Not that it's good or he's pro-religion.
There it is. Yes.
But that it's good at quelling.
Correct.
Because if you try and quell a non-religious group, they don't give a shit.
No, they don't, because they don't have the rule set, the inlaid fucking game design.
Well, and then there's no
Other people
tradition
have.
to weaponize.
Of course it is.
No, there is no tradition to weaponize.
In Christianity, of
No,
course
no,
there
no.
is.
If they're not a Christian,
Okay. I was like I have an issue with this.
there was another video that I saw of a guy that used to be a pastor, who was talking about just like the evolution of religion, like monotheistic religion in general, and how he went through how, in general, religion started. He ended up becoming an atheist. But he studied. He went to school.
The more you know about things,
yeah,
the less.
and he essentially says I saw how the sausage was made, and it was hard for me to stay as a Christian. But he was saying how as religions became a thing because humans saw the world and they were trying to explain the world.
There it is. Yes.
And there was an evolution of in these proto religions that things started to kind of come up and be a thing. You know, and you had these proto religions that kind of turn into polytheism, and then out of polytheism, you started to kind of distill it a little bit with Judaism. You know, there was some other things in there, was that Zoroastrianism or something, or maybe it was Mithra. There was some other Christianity religions that happened in between Christianity, not necessarily in between, but parallel and a little bit before.
Okay.
It didn't really take as well. But Christianity, the way that he was saying it, was he's this was created with somebody who knew. He's it was created by people who firmly knew the power of religion, how it could be used, and was more as a propaganda tool. And that the thing with Christianity was that it was inflexible, and you can't you either had faith, you didn't. It was an on or off switch.
Okay.
And it was you were easily able to very easy again.
Easy to manipulate, easy to control.
Very easy to manipulate, easy to control. And they said right after Christianity, the one that happened after that, even Christianity 2.0 is Muslim. It was another religion that was kind of made. They knew how to write it in such a way.
Yeah.
That it could be. And again, I'm just repeating what somebody else said.
Yeah.
I'm not shitting on anybody's religion. I'm just repeating what they're saying.
But you also need to understand the history of where these things come from.
Well, one would, and again, I would argue, I love the idea of the, being able to make your own fortune. People saw this and they didn't. I have a hard time as somebody who designs things for a living. It's hard to put things together like that. You never get exactly what you want ever. There's no fucking way.
Same in film, by the way. Everything with architecture is the same. Same with film. So
yeah, you're taking all of the punches and doing the best with what you got. Nobody created religion for the purpose of creating a propaganda and war machine. People took advantage of situations for their own benefit over the course of thousands of years. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
I think that it started off as something good. I do think that Jesus was an actual person. I don't think that he had white skin and blue eyes.
No.
But I do think that he probably was a very charismatic person who tried to convince people not to be so barbaric and killed them for it.
Which doesn't sound like a bad thing at all until you co-opt it for your own fucking illicit reasons.
I'm trying to think if I can think of some of the other real interesting topics that they were talking about. Reading Machiavelli, I really did feel like I was getting a secret knowledge out of it.
Yeah, it feels
holy
that
shit,
way.
this is really cool. When he talks about, because you could easily hear what he's saying and how it's being applied to current day. 100%. It is.
It's eerie how close everything is.
There was. I remember telling Heather this. I remember when I watched Citizen Kane the first time and thinking, how does a movie this old look so new?
Right?
It's fascinating how modern Citizen Kane looks, but it was done in what, 1930s,
1941.
1941.
I think I'm gonna lose
It's just
my
it's
film card.
crazy, and I felt when I was listening to the lectures about Machiavelli and his stance on things,
41. Fuck yeah.
It is fascinating how modern of a thinker, and he's often referred to as the first modern man. Machiavelli is. He's also considered to be which he says the lecturer did not agree with, but he did say that you could conceive of him as the first modern Republican. And I'm not, when I say Republican, I'm saying like a Republican Party,
Right,
the first
right,
person
right.
who really believed in like the way that you could have a republic.
That makes sense.
And the thing that he really wanted to reiterate was, and this is going back to The Prince was written for a strong man, because there was a lot of people that believed that, you know, there's a lot of people who think that you need a strong man to gather power to do it over again. For some reason, there's some people in their monkey brains that want a strong man. And these were the rules to the strong man to gather the power back, to turn it into a republic, not to keep it as a king. And I do feel that like people misread. He also thinks there's a lot of people that misread Machiavelli to think it's a grab for power,
what I felt.
when it's really what Machiavelli really thought. If you read his thoughts on Livy, he was more for the republic than he was for the strong man. He understood the need for the strong man, and his idea for that was like the beginning of Rome was like Romulus and Remus, and how Romulus killed his brother. Like that was the first strong man. This is somebody who had to come in and be strong enough to kill his brother for
the greater good, for
the
the
greater
change, for the rebirth.
Yeah.
Yes, I get that.
Yeah. So it was all absolutely fascinating. I really, really enjoyed it. Makes my brain bigger, and I look forward to the next book.
What's the next book?
I think there's a book. There's a book by there's a girl named Ardent.
Ardent?
Ardent is her name. She's a Jewish scholar. She is famous for coining the term the banality of evil. She fled Germany during right before World War II.
Eichmann in Jerusalem.
Yep.
A report on the banality of evil.
Yeah, so she saw Adolf
Hannah
Eichmann.
Ardent.
Ardent, thank you.
Arendt.
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 Thank you.
Okay.
She like when she left Germany, she's trying to do like what I'm doing now, like what the kind of gathering her thoughts and trying to figure out like what the fuck happened. And I think like in me searching for those questions and reading all the books that I'm reading have like kind of led me to her. She was just trying to like figure out like she wrote a book called the totality, or like where totalitarianism comes from. So I think I'm going to be reading that one next.
Fuck, okay.
But I mean, it's just interesting. Like her take on the banality of evil. That Adolf Eichmann was like one of the people who put all the people and did all of the like paperwork to put all of the Jew, like almost every single Jew went through Adolf Eichmann on their way to the concentration camps, specifically the ones where they killed them, like the actual death camps. So like he had his stamp on like 2 million Jews or like 6 million Jews.
Jesus.
It's all one guy.
Christ.
And she was like, she thought that she was going to be like looking the devil himself in the eye. And she was shocked how simple and boring he was. And how like the biggest thing about him was he was completely unable to see the world through the eyes of somebody else.
Feels like Mike Johnson,
Who's Mike Johnson?
Speaker of the House.
Oh, yeah. Yes, yeah. Just like a boring looking dude.
Like a dude, he's the poster child for Grindr.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. But like in
Well,
the
no,
bad way.
Yeah, the
Not-
bad way.
Not a positive
Yeah.
way.
If you want to use Grindr on your own time,
Yeah,
cool. But like,
fucking A,
if you want to
awesome.
like tell people like I don't use Grindr, but then like use the fuck out of Grindr.
Like during the RNC,
Yeah.
when Grindr crashed, the servers crashed because
yeah.
of so much usage.
Yeah.
God, the fucking hypocrisy is so goddamn thick.
It is.
It's like a concrete milkshake butthole.
It is. You know, and I say all this stuff, and something that when I was writing on Facebook the other night, John Smith pointed out something that I thought was very interesting. He said, I find it interesting that the left have plenty of bad things to say about their leaders, but the right have so few things to say about theirs.
I saw that comment.
And,
Yeah.
I definitely saw that. So I mean, like when I say these things, like I hear myself saying all this bad things about the right. The left fucking sucks, dude.
Of course they do.
100% sucks. Like yeah.
I'm only seeing a few glimmers of hope. And I know we've talked about this before. I'm not going to reiterate this, but it's I don't see hope with our political parties. That's why whatever happens, it has to come from the outside. It has to come from outside politics or the very few people who are actually trying to give a shit right now.
I mean, like,
not the people trying to gain power from posing like they're giving a shit, which a lot of people are standing up right now and being like, oh yeah, what Trump's doing is wrong. Make sure you vote for me in the next presidential election. Like that's all.
Wink,
I'm
wink. I'm going to run again.
Exactly.
You know what's is crazy is like one of the greatest leaders of this century so far is fucking Zelensky. It was a guy who played the president on TV. Dude, did you hear about like the shit that Zelensky and everybody pulled off with the coordinated attack?
Just recently. Yeah. Please give me information because mine was very limited.
And this is, I don't know how fast this story is I don't know how fast this story is evolving, but the last time I was looking into it, what they were saying is like a lot of it came down to one guy who was a DJ. He was like a Russian DJ who was able to convince all these truckers to like haul all this shit I don't know what he convinced all these truckers to haul this stuff all over the country for free. And it ended up making sense. Like, I don't know if it was for like a tour he was doing or like hauling equipment around for like some sort of music tours or something like that. But he got all these people to haul all these trucks all over Russia. In these trucks, on the top was a secret compartment that all these drones were located. And once they all got into place, when you have there's like a triad for like nuclear weapons. The triad is like ICBM, plane, and subs. And those are like the three ways.
What's ICBM?
Or intercontinental ballistic missile.
Gotcha.
It's like it's the three ways that
three ways they can launch
that the nukes are deployed in general.
Deployed.
Are either going to be from a sub, from an ICBM, or from a plane.
Gotcha.
And they all have to be on alert at all times. Subs, there's literally somebody
really?
underwater at all times with their finger inches from the button at all times.
That's so stressful.
There's people that live underground at all times waiting to just turn the key to launch nukes at all times. And planes have to be on the tarmac, locked and loaded and ready to go at all times. Wow. So they knew that there was like all of these planes out and they know where they are all over Russia, and they like beyond decimated all the planes all over Russia. Like there's already generals studying this and like ready to put into like all the war books. It's like one of the fucking most ingenious and most well coordinated attacks in human history. And they didn't get any help from the United States.
Yeah. Well, in fact, the United States bitched about them not telling them that this was going to happen.
Because he didn't say thank you.
Fuck you.
The only reason it works is probably because they didn't tell the United States.
Exactly. Dude, yes, of course, we're the leak.
So, yeah, that's like... And that all came from a guy who's outside the system. So it's possible.
Yeah.
Dude, like if Jon Stewart could win...
That's where I was going to go next. Thank you.
But half the country hates Jon Stewart.
It doesn't fucking matter. Half the country hates Trump, too, but he got elected.
Yeah, but you need somebody...
66% of the country hate Trump.
You need more than that, I think. Because like, there's more than half the country loves Zelensky. You need somebody who's universally loved. You need like Dolly Parton or some shit like that.
There's no way that Jon Stewart is half the country of hated.
Half the country fucking hate Jon Stewart.
He is the only person on 9/11 that I looked at and went, oh shit, this just got real. Every other newscaster, I couldn't give a fuck about. I could not, any politician that came out and talked, I didn't give a fuck. When Jon Stewart cried, that's when I said, fuck,
Yeah.
this is real.
Yeah, he is our Tom Brokaw.
But Tom Brokaw was a fucking face. Jon Stewart's actually going out and doing things. He's actually trying.
I don't know. During the Vietnam War, Tom Brokaw was America's conscience.
I'm sure.
It's the same thing. Just a different generation.
It's a different generation. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting Brokaw down. I'm just saying, like, it's fucking different. It's a similar mentality, but Jon Stewart is someone who could rise. I mean, they made a movie about it called Man of the Year, where Robin Williams plays Jon Stewart with a different name, and says he has a late night talk news show.
That's what I thought of when I saw Zelensky win.
Yeah, dude, it's just like, it's so funny to think this way, but that movie was really good because it addressed the idea that the people who should be in power don't want it. The people who are in power shouldn't be in power. And the people who should have the power to actually help are the ones who are going to be demonized enough to be kicked out of power.
I don't know if Jon Stewart would have the vote from people of color.
I don't know, dude. I think he's proven I think his track record is fucking
Yeah, it's because you're
great.
white.
Fair. My lens is my lens. My perception
But like, is some like inner city kid from St. Louis give a shit about Jon Stewart?
versus being trampled
Dude,
by horses.
inner city
and
kids from St. Louis didn't vote for Kamala Harris. Why are they going to vote for?
that was fucking shocking to me.
No, why are they going to vote for Jon Stewart?
The apathy in this country was disgusting.
That's-
Dude, I can't tell you how many fucking daily people I talk to who say, I don't follow the news. I'm not following politics. Like right now, are you fucking kidding me?
It is very hard to believe.
You don't have that luxury. The irony is you do. And that's fucking nasty. I'm sorry.
It's the banality of evil.
It's the banality of evil.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was people not doing anything. You know, I hope I live a long life, so I can watch people lie, or I can listen to people lie to their grandkids.
I like your post you had a couple days ago or yesterday. That was nice.
I would like to hear. I want to tell people never forget
And mean it.
and mean it.
Not this roo fucking bumper sticker mentality of what a country is.
Well, I mean, we're gonna have to like. I mean, I say that, but you're not gonna like if I say, you know, I want to lord over you and you're on your deathbed. Like that's not a way to get people on your side. Either.
It's also not what you believe in anyway.
Yeah. But I do want to ask the question. I do want people to, like, think of it. Like, are you going to be proud of this? Are you going to be proud of that red hat in 20, 30 years?
Are you going to show your kids or are you going to hide it?
Yeah. Is this going in a trunk? And I tell you what, like, the only way where you're going to convince people not to tell them, don't forget, is you're going to fucking kill all of us.
Yup.
So when we fought in Iraq, like we did our best. Like we weren't trying to do bad things, but we built bombs, and bombs aren't surgical, right? And they fell and they killed everybody. And for every father we killed, we recreated another 10. For every mother we killed, we created another 20. For every child we killed, we created another 50. I mean, and you know, and maybe that is, you know, if we're going to listen to Machiavelli and what he has to say about the Republic, it just has to be burned down. And maybe it is the bodies that are going to have to happen. Maybe that is the only thing that's going to change anything. And it's fucking gross. And I hate it. I hate, yeah, I don't, what am I saying? I don't want to say like arrogant, but I'm selfish enough that I didn't want this to happen in my lifetime.
I don't think that's a negative selfishness, though.
I know, but the thing is that
It's literally being selfish for the good of others.
yeah, but I already did a war. I don't want to do another one.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think.
And the thing that sucks is like there's so many people that never fought a war to begin with that want it so bad.
I don't want war, man. I don't want the pain. I don't want the horror.
It was again, John Smith he's a smart dude. There was another post that I did several months back where one of my friends said, like, you know, I'm not political and I'm middle of the road, but I don't care if Congress burns down and we all die. And I'm John Smith's like, if you're saying all this, you're not middle of the road. You're like, that's the idea that people think that's center. Like just burning it down and starting over is center. It fucking isn't. And something else that's like really occurring to me a lot is like, I mean, for one, like all the fucking like reading and backtracking that I'm doing to like try and confirm like what's real and not real, and actually trying to find out the history on things, and just kind of, I'm getting to know a lot more of the moving parts, I think, of like why some of the decisions are made. I mean, like reading stuff like Machiavelli and understanding why they did things, reading stuff about like how government is put together and why and how debt works, you know, as a civilization and not just as a financial number. Like it all makes sense on how shitty it was, but it also makes sense on how they rigged it the way that they did too. So I don't know. It's all been fascinating and eye-opening, and I find myself, you know, understanding things that I hated more, and I find myself hating things that I used to like, and everything's just changing. I don't know. I wish other people would do the same.
What? Welcome to Buttertown. Pull up a seat where the chatter's rich and the laughter's sweet. We spin our tales by the firelight's glow. Sip on stories that only we know. Hear the whispered joke in every rhyme. We'll be here talking till the end of time. Buttertown, spread it thick and round. We're the Buttertown bards and we're podcast bound. Raise your mug, sing along, let the echo sound. From open to filling, we'll bar up this town. Every guest a friend, every tale a feast. We slice through silence from greatest to least. From marketing mishaps to wild behind the scenes. We toast the chaos and all in between. Find the secret gem in every show. We'll keep you listening wherever you go. Buttertown, spread it thick and round. We're the Buttertown bards and we're podcast bound. Raise your mug, sing along, let the echo sound. From open to filling, we'll bar up this town. Fiddle swords, guitar roars, bald on heartbeat strong. Join our crew, hear our truth in this Buttertown song.